we are quickly going to create our database now before we come back to our coding right here. So I'll go to my browser and open my phpMyAdmin. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on new here and write a new database. In this case, I will call my database teen, and I'm going to click on create. Okay, database have been created. Now that is my teen database right there, and now it's asking me the name of my table. I want to call my table users. Okay, I want to call it users, and they're asking how many columns do you want your table to have. Now what you're going to do is, since we have 9 input fields here, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, now we are quickly going to say 10, because the 10th one will be for the user ID. Okay, to be for the ID column. So we'll click on go, and it displays a list of where we can write that. So we'll say user ID, that's the first one, which will be an auto increment. We need at most 2 characters. This will be the index will be primary key. We'll make it a primary key so that we can use it for relationships. Okay, so this will be auto increment AI. Then the next one will be surname. This will be first name. This will be day of birth. Okay, now let's say day of birth. Let's do it like this: day of birth. No, I prefer it this way. Let's just say DOB. Okay, let's just say DOB. Let's say this is MOB, and this is YOB. This is email. This is phone. This is phone, and this is other phone. Okay, now, and the last one here should be bio. Okay, now we want our surname to be variable character, and we want it to have at most 30 characters. First name should be variable character. I want to give it 30 also. Now DOB should be integer because the date of birth, the day, and we want it to carry at most 2. Now the month of birth should be variable character. We need like 3 characters for it at most. Now the year of birth should be integer. We need 4 for this. Now the email should be variable character. We need at most, let's give it 60. The phone should be a big integer. Now the reason is because if we set it to an integer, some phone numbers are normally or usually 11 digits. Okay, now if we set it to a normal integer, a normal integer carries at most 10 digits. Okay, but a big integer carries more than that. So let's set it to a big integer and say 11 digits. Same thing with the other phone column. Let's say 11 here. And then for the bio, we are going to set that to text, and we are going to limit the write up to 1,000 characters. Okay, now the reason is because we don't want excessive typing. So once it exceeds 1,000, it's going to trim and get only the first 1,000. So we are through with what we're doing. We'll quickly go down and click on save here, and our table becomes saved. Now you can check the structure and see we have our 10 columns there. Now if you browse, you discover that you see nothing because we've not inserted anything, but at least we have our database set and our table is also set. Now let's go back to our code and see how we can insert these things in our database. Okay, so now we say if the date of birth isn't equal to DD, or this is equal to MM, or year of birth is equal to YYY, please, it should echo please enter a valid date of birth. Okay, now if that is not the case, that is else, if that's not the case, then what we want to do now is it should pass the information that we are going to write here to the database. But first of all, before you do anything with your database, you first of all need to create a connection. Okay, connect to the server, connect to the database before any other thing. So what we are going to do now is on top of here, let's quickly do that. Let's assign some variables, like let's say our hosts. Okay, our host is equal to localhost. Okay, and our user or username, let's say username, is equal to root. That's what I'm using. Okay, and our password, let's assign that pass, our password is nothing. Okay, currently I don't have a password, so our password is nothing. And then the name of our database is so that's database. So database is our database was teen, so we have teen, and I think that is it. Now let's do a Control S there. So the first thing we need to do is to call on or to create a connection. Okay, so if this is equal to this, please enter a valid date of birth. Now else, okay, else what we want to do is we want to say connect. Let's assign that we connect. Okay, now we say connect. We want to say my SQLi connect. So we have there. Now the first one is the host. So we have the host, we have the username. Now we are trying to connect to the database, and then we have the password, which is variable pass. Now it should connect to the database, or else it should die. Cannot connect to server. Okay, now this line of code here checks and connects to your server. Okay, now the next thing we are going to do is to connect to the database. Let's call that DB, and we'll use the function my SQLi connect. No, sorry, my SQLi select DB there. And we are going to call on the two arguments, which is the connection, in this case connect. Okay, and secondly the name of the database. In this case we have our database as teen, and we've assigned it to the variable database. Okay, so we also want to tell it or it should die, or die cannot connect to database. Okay, now if this is not connecting, or if this did not connect, then it should give us this statement so that we'll know that our code or what we did not actually connect to the database. Okay, now but if it passed this line and then it also connected to the database, then what we need to do now is to feed it with what we want it to do. Now we want it to actually get the values from our input fields right here, and then send it to our database right here. Okay, so when we'll come back in our next video, we'll see how we are going to do that. But for now, just take a look at the code, and I'll see you in the next